Like, death was not on the radar. Like, it completely blindsided us because people who die from drugs are people with substance use disorder, right? And that's just not the case anymore. It's experimental. So, my 14-year-old son, Alexander, loved to skateboard. He really was a researcher. He loved to look up all information on anything he was really passionate about. He was a very adventurous kid, very smart kid, and puberty came along, and puberty was rough. Fall of 8th grade, he began experimenting with marijuana, and it was becoming a problem. Like we were constantly going after him with, here's what the scientific approach, here's what it's doing to your brain and your body, here's the long-term effects. We had put him in a mood and anxiety program in February of 2020. It was a mood and anxiety program that treated mild substance use, and he went to that program. During that program, COVID hit, so he didn't get to experience the full effects. Something was up. And the night of June 21st, 2020, Alex says, I gotta talk to you guys. It's about 9 o'clock at night, and he sits us down at the kitchen table, and he said, I've been experimenting with these pills last week, the last 10 days maybe, and they really have a hold on me, and I don't know why. He thought he was taking oxycodone. It was marketed him through the drug dealer on Snapchat as oxycodone. So, of course, we're gonna get him help. I mean, so I remember that night, he just kept saying, okay, Mom, he was very relieved and kept asking what the plan was, going over the plan. He came to us with a plan. And that morning, I called the treatment place. They needed to call me back. That evening, he was hanging out with friends. About 9 o'clock at night, he came home. We heard him come in the house. And we said, hey, Alex. He went right up to his room. And that was the last we heard from him. That following morning, we got up and went about our business, and I needed to wake him up for an orthodontist appointment. And I went and knocked on his door. And he didn't respond, and instantly I knew something was wrong. I went right into his room, and he was lying on his beanbag chair just like he had gone to sleep. He was blue all along the side of his face. His time of death is 9:59 a.m. and the phone call from the treatment center is at 10:03 a.m. We had no idea how urgent this was. Toxicology came back, and it was fentanyl. So when this first happened, and I started talking to parents, one of the biggest things I heard was like, well, my kid would never do that. And at first, the first couple of times it took me aback. I'm like, okay, well, what are you saying about my family when you say that to my face? Your child might not do it the way Alexander did it. He was actively seeking something. He wanted to experiment. He wanted to know what it felt like. But could your kid have got a football injury on Friday, and over the weekend, they can't get to the doctor? Over the weekend, somebody turns to them and says, here's something for that, and they're gone. What happened to Alex isn't an overdose. This isn't somebody taking too much of their usual dose of heroin or what have you. This is poisoning. Somebody deceptively sold him a counterfeit pill that was made with fentanyl. There's no laced in this anymore. These pills in the streets are all fentanyl. It doesn't matter if you think you're taking Xanax or an Adderall, it's going to contain fentanyl. So I look back at that day and think of all the different things I needed to do differently. I had 24 hours to learn about fentanyl, and I didn't. A lot I wish I did differently. I've been traveling the country giving presentations, anything I can to get the word out and to make it real. It's really important to me that we make this very real for people to understand that this can happen.